And well, welcome one and all, and especially my co-host Shanaaz to our event, My Life, My Business. Wish I was here. And as you know, interestingly enough, as I was reflecting on this title, I think some days it's more than a wish. And some days we answered the wish. Some days it is I am here, meaning I am engaged, I love my life, I have purpose, I've surrendered, I've answered my calling, and my life is one of great significance, and therefore I'm doing it also with others, and so it doesn't matter what the day is like, as long as I've got direction, as long as there is progress, and I'm doing it with others, there has to be enjoyment. What could possibly go wrong? So, without further ado, talking a little bit about that, I just want to talk really today about the Gryphon Foundation origins and see how far we get today, because it's just something that as we meditate on or prepare ourselves for a topic, we're led in different ways. And by the way, Gryphon in this sense is Gryphon. And let me start with that name first and foremost, so that we all understand what this particular Gryphon symbolizes. We are well aware that it's a mythical figure, the Gryphon, and it's kind of dear to my heart in some way, shape, or form. Many years ago, when we were researching this, around about 2009, 2010, when we started a company called Gryphon Enterprise Development, and as its name suggests, we wanted to help people, mentor them, coach them into taking that leap, having the courage, take the risk, and start their business. So we would literally host people and ask them what their ideas were and just help them structure their thinking, and at least I did identify the steps necessary for them to take the next action. In any case, we started doing this as a division, as a department within a company, and so we were doing this well for about, I don't know how long, about 6 months or so, when the CEO of the group of companies approached us and said, listen, you guys are doing a wonderful job in the company, in this department, this enterprise development department, but don't you think we should actually start a company and do this as an entity rather than a department within a company? So, we thought about it and we said yes. And we started looking around for something that symbolizes what we were doing. And I'm particularly very interested in royal eagles and lions, and for a variety of reasons. And I thought, what would best, capture this passion? And yes, and when you plugged it into Google, and up popped the Gryphon, and loved this mythical figure of both lion and eagle. In actual fact, it's a Gryphon has got a lion's body, eagle's wings, and an eagle's head, and found this. But as we did a little bit of research around this and we wanted to develop a logo, I discovered that the Gryphon was actually a family crest, my family crest, the Van Heerden family crest. And it was quite bizarre, and it was like, this absolutely spoke to me. Now, on a spiritual level, I was just like, wow, this was meant to be. Anyway, that's how the Gryphon symbolism kicked in, and so we established the company Gryphon Enterprise Development Pty Limited, and we continued doing our enterprise development work. Then, during a strategy session around the company, I realized that there was a desire to actually to make real impact on the community at large, so as business people, and felt that the commercial model wasn't quite the one that appealed to me at that stage, And during the strategic session, when we broke down what the revenue model needed to be, um, we kind of came up with, we want the funding to really come from donors. So we want the donor funding, and what is that split? 70% must be donor funding, and the other 30% would be commercial. And so that was the whole idea. And this was in 2010, and we continued with Gryphon Enterprise Development. We started a project around the solar water heating systems. We mentored two people that were employees into running their own businesses, assembling solar water heating panels, that is. And we did that up until for about 3 years. And then I had the opportunity, I was invited to a ABFI conference, the Association for Black Foundation Executives was invited to this function, this conference in Chicago. And on a sheer impulse, I went. It was a 4-day conference. And I remember this was in April 2013. And all I had on mind was, well, I need to go and learn how nonprofits go work. Now, obviously, there's much cheaper ways of doing this, but I just felt so led to go and do this. And then I went to immerse myself in terms of what is a foundation all about? How does a nonprofit work? What is fundraising strategies? What's grant making? And all these kinds of things. And while I was there, I realized that, I had the passion to do so, and I had the idea about, doing it via donor funding. But it's one thing. So two things came to mind. I needed an entity, either an NPO or a nonprofit company. But secondly, I realized, to my horror, that if you wanted to do this, you needed program. So I realized, okay, fine. I need to have some real programs, because this is really the thing I've learned under in the conference. So I returned to South Africa. First thing I did, incorporated a nonprofit company, this time called the Gryphon Foundation. Spoke to several friends of mine at that stage and asked them to join me on board for this foundation. We set it up. It took us literally 2 years to register this nonprofit company as a public benefit organization. 2 whole long years of plugging away before we were ready. So the NPC was incorporated in 2014, so it took us until 2016 to get our PBO number. But in the meantime, in parallel, we started thinking about programs, and we established, because it was an outflow of doing the enterprise development work, we established a program, a 10-month program, and it was called Around 10 Business Cluster Coaching, in which we followed a process of strategic thinking, and therefore planning and implementation. So 2 hours, so it was like a commitment of 20 hours, and the thinking was bring coaching to entrepreneurs that were, SMME, or they were, they didn't have the cash flow to afford coaching. So we built this model around a group coaching where virtual strangers would, and a maximum of 10, that's why we call it Around 10, would come and join over a 10-month period. And what we wanted was to build community, sharing of ideas. So strangers became friends, became, even to some extent, collaborators in different business opportunities and so on. So we started with that. That was the one program we developed. Then in 2015, and what I really wanted to talk about, specifically what we're concentrating on, was because we ran these around 10 business coaching clusters, in the first cluster, one of the participants did his strategic planning, and in there he spoke about this job readiness program and his passion for it. And as we spoke, I said to him, look, so, what are your challenges that you face with regard to this program? And he said, well, you know what? We put our learners through these programs, and it was at that time, once once they've completed the course, and at that stage it was 11-day course, once they completed this course, um, their one-page CV was not even looked at. In fact, only those that did extremely well, and it's the same kind of adage where the top performers had the opportunities, because they worked on a sum system, a 4E system. So only 3Es and 4Es, if you scored those things, excellent standards, you would then be sent on a learnership opportunity and so forth. So something spoke to me as I listened to him, and I said to him, oh, look, is there any way we can collaborate? Because literally out of these business coaching clusters, central to them was the opportunity to collaborate. So, it's one thing coaching others to do this, but you got to kind of practice what you preach. And in this case, I did just that and learned a little bit about what the job readiness program was. And then we said, okay, fine. What we'll do is we will work with the candidates of this program, the people who finish, or in loosely spoken, when I say graduates, I'm talking about graduates of this job readiness program. We would work with these, and what we will do is, or we will design an internship program where the one thing that they absolutely needed was the experience, because nobody was looking at their one-page CVs because they had no experience in them. So we thought, well, we can do our little bit in this manner, is that if they at least have 6 months worth of experience, it will position them best, for employment. And what we will do in that 6 months is that we'll meet with the employer, we'll meet with the intern, and we make sure that the journey is captured in a certain way. So we said we're going to start, and like anything else, my philosophy is, if you believe strongly in something, that you must be your own best consumer.
Oh yeah, no, you said that it took so long to get it registered. Because that's why I wanted to know, was it around struggling to kind of think about what you wanted to do and how you wanted to do it? Or was there just like bureaucracy in terms of that? I just
Oh,
found it
oh,
interesting because you had ideas about how it should be done, and then it takes 2 years. So I was just like curious about that.
yes. So no, you see, as an NPC, we were ready. We had the organization. So what we wanted, of course, was the PBO registration, and that was just bureaucracy. I mean, we actually engaged a financial um, service provider to help us with this, and it literally filling out the forms, uh, working with SARS head office to eventually get our a Section 18A certification. Took us literally 2 years of plugging away. We submit the application, then we get a checklist of things that we need to fill out, requirements and profiles of directors, and trying to meet all the minimum requirements. And we were told 2 years was pretty, well, actually quick. It was pretty quick at
Okay,
that
okay,
stage.
yeah, okay.
Yes, so it was really a SARS process, because they partly because when any person or organization donates money to a public benefit organization, that money that's donated is fully tax deductible. So they needed to make sure that
Yep.
they're dealing
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
as I'm just explaining that for anybody else that doesn't understand who listens to this, make sure that you're credible and you're not doing this just to for all kinds of other reasons. Like people become VAT registered and they never pay over their VAT, that kind of thing. And so we really discovered a passion for the unemployed, specifically unemployed youth. And we just felt, well, for the way we designed our program is that we wanted to work with youth between the ages of 18 and 22. And when we decided to do this at that stage is purely because, they've matriculated. That was number one. That was the first prize. They needed to have matriculated. We weren't interested in the quality of the results as much. They also needed to finish this job readiness course. And the other thing is that they needed to have the kind of attitude that we were looking for, an attitude that is displayed in their level of integrity, in their level of excellence, in how they were prepared for or understood the whole purpose around being um, interdependent, meaning striving for financial independence, but while partnering with other independent entities, for win-win outcomes. So this is something that we did because the candidates we told them is that the only thing they don't have job work experience, they don't have the kinds of qualifications that opens doors for them anywhere else. So therefore the only thing they can trade on is their character. So how we designed this program, and I'm just going to put it very briefly to really allow Shanaaz maybe opportunity to ask some questions, is we designed a profiling portion of the program where it starts with a pitch. Basically, we meet with the graduates of the job readiness program and then we pitch to them over about 30-35 minutes what the program is all about, the benefits of the program, the administration behind the program, and what we require. And obviously go through a Q&A session, and then they sign an agreement form, right, that commits themselves to the program, which means they are available, they give us phone numbers so that we can get hold of them, and so on. But once they've signed that agreement form, we then schedule an assessment day where they spend the entire day with us, where we do a full-blown values assessment. We do also an assessment that helps them define their mission statement, and it's quite interesting. So we do those for a couple of reasons. One is help them first and foremost clarify what is really important to them, not as anybody else has dictated to them, because some of our candidates, they chose subjects at school because one class was too full and they just ended up doing subjects that had nothing to do with a vision or a dream that they might have had for themselves. So we do the values and we say, we know you're desperate. We know life is tough, but you cannot tell yourself that you cannot afford to dream and that you can't be specific about the things that energize you and the things that you don't like doing. So that's really the values exercise, because what we're saying is in the end is know what's going to fulfill you, and you look for opportunities in the areas of your interest. And the mission statement, we say, look, vision is absolutely great. It gives you direction. And as we spoke many times on our previous podcast, the mission is what energizes you every day. So daily, you have a reason, a purpose for your being. And so once that profiling session is done, we then schedule vision interviews. So people who finish it submit their assessments. When they leave, they schedule an appointment vision interview for 30 minutes, where literally we look at their CVs and everything that they've done. We look through their assessments, but we use that as a guideline to cast vision within the candidate. And it's inspirational. Most of our candidates walk away with renewed a renewed picture, a fresh picture of what it is they actually want to do. And I mean, it's first pass, but at least it's not cloudy and murky as when they started. After vision interviews are scheduled, we then schedule a rehearsal interview with participating companies where they have to get it's a simulation where they have to get the transportation to get to a meeting on time. They have to be presentable, and then we get the participating company to give us feedback on the candidate as such, and all of this and how they pitch up, how they participate, the assessments then help us build a profile, and that is our profiling section. And then, the 6 months actual internship is really based on funding. If we have funding, then we send 3 particular candidates to participating, and in this case, an eligible employer who tells us broadly how they would like to utilize the intern in their business. And so, based on their requirements, we then go into our database and we select the top 3 candidates, send them for an interview, and then the eligible employer then selects the one that stands out to them. And then the internship happens over the 6 months, and we assign a mentor that would have 30-minute meetings with the employer as well as 30-minute meetings with the intern, and it helps with the assimilation. It helps them navigate all the different challenges that they have, and over the 6 months they then build an action plan in terms of just what they're actually going to do, the steps that they're going to take to fully live their values. And that's in essence the internship program. So the foundation right now, our aim is to do this for 100,000 interns to become permanently employed. So our success rate has ranged from currently 60% to what it was in future. It was nearly 77% retention rate. So people who have had absolutely no experience after 6 months were employed by the participating employers that offered them the internship. So yes, Shanaaz, we've got 1 minute left. So I don't know if you have anything to say or add or
No, I
ask.
think that that's no, I think that that's so the it sounds like you guys have really thought in detail about it, and I think it's very on point in terms of the kind of 18-year-olds we get when they come to university, and they've got this choices of subjects in front of them. A lot of them don't know what they want to do at all, and we, that idea of focusing them on their values, on what's important to them, none of them, a lot of them haven't thought about what was important to them. And particularly in humanities faculty, what we find is that we get a lot of students who wanted to do medicine and law and the usual, and then they didn't get the marks for it, so they end up in the humanities faculty. And like now it's like, and it's really hard for them to choose courses because they didn't think that this is what they're needing to choose. But if you focus on values, that's an entirely different, yeah, it's an entirely different perspective. Yeah, so I really like it. I can see how it works, and the idea of the mentoring program as well, and the mentoring that they get, it sounds really good. So very
Yes, so
interested.
yes, so that's kind of in a nutshell. There's a lot of, of course, I can entertain you for the entire day talking about just the experiences and the testimonies that have resulted from our interaction. So yeah, we've come to the end of the talk, and for Shanaaz, thank you for listening. I appreciate it, and also for those of you listening to the replay, or if you're going to listen to the YouTube video, and we'll flight this video at the same place, the Mufasa coaching practice on YouTube. Um, just to let you know that I'm speaking about this because this to us is like the unemployment among youth is like a growing epidemic, and if we don't do something about this, the knock-on effect on the country and the economy, even on many other social issues, you know, I think is critical, and I think we need to do our bit as much as we possibly can. Yes, it's a tall order for us to reach 100,000 youth fully employed, permanently employed, but you know, we believe in the big, hairy, audacious goals, and we will set them ourselves, and it's one at a time that we're going to proceed, and because we know one intern represents a family, and if we can help that family receive an income via what we do, you know, then we're impacting a community and therefore a nation. So thank you for listening, Shanaaz. I will do a WhatsApp call to you, and we will continue our conversation on another topic entirely, which is not too far from this one.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
all.